Right, welcome back with the Smooches show. So, tying into healthy being the new skinny, last week we spoke about healthy relationships. What does that look like and the importance of it? Now, I hope you watched last week's episode. If not, go on Ustream and get a chance to look at it because we talked about a lot from the female's perspective of what we feel some of our standards are, our criteria, what we think is healthy versus unhealthy. And it was like, you know what, we don't have a guy's perspective. So it's, it's two people that make up a relationship, So it was good to have a male's perspective. So we put out a message on Facebook asking there was a bright, daring, bold man that would mind sharing his mind, speaking from the male's perspective. And here we have Jason Wright. Yeah, bright, daring. Jason Wright, hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the Smooches show.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Good. Yes.
Appreciate it.
So, last week we were talking about relationships and some things that females feel like they desire or they want. Can we start with a question asking you, are there certain things, even possibly within your list, that you're looking for that are a must within the opposite sex in regards to a romantic relationship?
Okay. Speaking for myself, the first thing I look for in a person of the opposite sex is versatility. Her ability to roll with some of the punches life gives you. How strong is she? Does she wilt at the first sign of opposition, or does she face it head on? I look for refinement. Someone who knows the difference between a dinner fork and a salad fork, so to speak. Someone who can hold her own in varying settings, whether it's an after-dinner party after an opera, or she's in a club, or she's just hanging out with friends at a tailgate party. How does she interact in all those different settings? I look for someone who has a sense of self, but not so much a sense of entitlement. Not someone who feels like everything is owed to her, but she feels that she knows what she's worth. Those things right there are my first and foremost things that I'm going to notice and look for in a woman of the opposite sex. After that, everything else to me is just in the details and bonus, but those are the things that for me I need to see.
Now, of course, when you first meet someone, you cannot tell if they're refined or versatile or refurbished. You have no clue what you're getting in the beginning.
I'm sitting here and I can't help but to notice that, if you close your eyes, you couldn't tell if he was describing a woman or a machine. He says someone that was refined, versatile. It's so funny how the terms and the descriptions that you use are very masculine, very manly. They were very impersonal, and it's like you really could apply that to a machine. You really, and that's not being facetious, but you really could. Like, she has to be versatile. I'm like, what you mean versatile? Like, she has to be versatile. She has to be refined, and then it just seems so rigid. You know what I mean? So, are you looking for a Stepford wife, or are you looking for like an actual person? Because your terms were so masculine.
Well, my terms are masculine, I think, because I'm a man. But for the most part, no, not a Stepford wife, but looking for someone who can at least embody some of that. Whether or not she gives it 100%, because who's perfect in anything that they do, but you do look for someone who shows you, I have the ability to do this, I can do this, this is my makeup, this is who I am. Everyone's going to look for something that they want. Another person can sit in his chair and say to you, I want a woman who's romantic, I want a woman who's going to spoil me, I want a woman who's going to, suck my toes at night, or whatever might be the thing for him. Yeah, everybody's different. I speak for me. And so when I say I'm looking for those things, it's a culmination of years of experience with dating, having a woman I've been in a relationship for some time with and had a daughter with, those experiences as well. Being able to see, okay, this is what I've dealt with, this is what I don't want, now I know what I do want. And when I see the opposite of it, okay, I come up with a term, refined, versatile. Maybe there's a better word for it, maybe something less clinical, yes, but that's the word that works for me. And when I explain it to someone, as you, and maybe even anyone else on this panel, they can know what I mean when I say it. Whereas another word may be a little less vague, maybe not as descriptive. So that's the one I choose to go with. But there's probably a host of other words that could be used. So no, don't hold it against me to use clinical terms, but that's just the ones that work.
So on the quest of you looking for the refined, refurbished, the girl, the car, the laptop.
That refurbished, not me.
The watch, I don't know what you're looking for. But when you're looking for that, in the meantime, and you're going on these dates and things and you're hanging out with these other women. Excuse me one moment. Excuse me, people. The baby. So when you're looking for this person, in the meantime, what about the meantime girl? Who is this meantime girl? I want to know, this is what I want to know. It's so nice to know that you guys are looking for good girls and girls are looking for good guys. Everybody wants a good person. Who wants a piece of crap? Nobody does. I don't want a piece of crap. So when you find that person who's refined or so on and so forth, and you marry that person, that's the person you spend your life with. But those in-between ones, those ones that you're seeing in between the time that you find Mrs. Refined and Refurbished, who is she?
Or do you do it in between time kind of thing? Because again, there can be a standard to where I will wait till I figure I've met someone that does meet these qualifications, or right, or if you're not, well, you know what? Well, I haven't found it yet. So in the meantime, I'm gonna see Miss Meantime, right? And she really could be mean.
What's the end of the name again? Shuz or Quaz or whatever.
Oh, the ghetto.
Yeah. Miss Meantime Nisha. I have a best friend named Nisha, so that's not, that's just something we're using for the moment. Because my best friend Nisha is that girl, Mrs. Refined.
So there's Miss Meantime and Mr. Right Now.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
That's right now.
Again, do people do it? Yes.
Yes.
I believe that whether or not you have a Miss Meantime or Mr. Right Now is solely based upon your intent. Why are you dating?
Do you try to change that person?
Absolutely not.
And do you just accept that person for who they are? And do you look down upon that person, or do you think that this is just who I'm mean timing it with?
I don't mean time it with anyone.
Okay.
There's a phrase I've heard and I grew up hearing. It's called dating with a purpose.
Exactly.
You're going to find the majority of people out today in the dating game or the dating pool, however you want to phrase it, do not date with a purpose.
Exactly.
They're dating multiple people at the same time, trying to find the one. Women encourage other women, don't put all your eggs in one basket. How do you know he's the right one? And if you just dating him, you're going to miss all these other great guys.
Well, what about on the male's perspective?
On the male's perspective, it's, oh, no, man, you can't just date her. You see all these women out here, it's 8 to 1. All these women, if you date only one woman, you got 7 others that you're not giving any attention to. It's like it's your manly responsibility to make sure that we get them all.
Yes, it is.
And honestly, that's preposterous.
Yes.
You'll have men who will advocate that to the death. They'll fight you tooth and nail that that's the way it's supposed to be. You have women who don't want to hear anything other than encouraging to date more than one, get out there, have fun. I have a female friend who brags about the fact that she can eat free every night of the week just from dating alone if she so chooses to. That's not dating with a purpose.
No, that's eating with a purpose.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
If you're dating with a purpose, before you even begin to date, you mentally and personally assess, are you ready for what dating brings? There is a long-standing debate about who pays for dates, who pays for dinner, where do you go, what do women expect, what should men give? If you order from that side of the menu, you know what's going on later. It's too much. If you strip away the layers of it and you get down to what's really it's about, you ask yourself, am I ready to date? Am I ready for the responsibility of dating someone? And where is this dating for me going to lead? Am I ready for what comes next? If I date this person and we start getting serious and it goes 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 1 year, am I ready for what's next? Am I ready for the step of engagement? Am I ready for marriage? If you're not ready for those things, why begin? It's kind of like saying someone or assessing, am I ready to be a parent? If you're not, then don't have unprotected sex.
So if you're not ready to date with a purpose, if you're not in the market to date with a purpose and you just want to have dates. And then you're that way for 4 to 6 months, you're that way for 2 years. And then one day you decide, okay, I am ready for, is that person still refined, or is that person someone who was just out and about with everyone?
Well, your refinement isn't so much determined by what you've done in your past.
Right.
It is determined by the person you are right now.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to look at. So
that's what you're going to look at.
That's what I would look at.
Yeah, you're very refined though. That's why I brought you on the show.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm thinking in my head, like, you know, what you're saying is, I think what you're saying is good. I can tell that you are not one to quickly speak. You give thought to what you're saying, so you're very precise with your words, and that you've given this thought prior to you coming on the show, so you kind of
not even knowing what I was going to be talking about, but
You didn't have much time at all.
as much thought as I could.
But either way, I'm thinking, like she's kind of saying, you're not typical. And again, of course, there are men out there just as yourself.
Of course.
At the same time, a lot of gentlemen, or some of them may not be all gentlemen, a lot of male species, guys that make comments and spoke about relationships outside of the show, had very different answers from what you're sharing now. You know, and
we're all different.
Right. So I guess you spoke about even like some acts of chivalry, you know, like say who pays for the check, you know, who lets who in what door, you know, like who opens whose car, you know. What are your thoughts on that in this day and time?
My thoughts on that on this day and time is, first dates, the man should pay for it.
Only the first date?
Well, we're starting off with the first one.
Okay, got it.
First date he should pay for. Second one he can pay for. Third one he can pay for. By the time you go on the third date, you can pretty much gather whether or not the woman you're dating is someone who might pick up a check every now and then. Since that's what men seem to be, that's a concern. They don't mind paying. They don't know that she's the kind of woman that'll do it as well in reciprocation. By the third date, you'll know that, and you can determine whether or not you're going to keep on going. But the first three, yeah, I think a man should pay. Quite frankly, I can only count on one hand or how many times I've had a woman pay for dinner with me, because that's the way I was raised, that you pay. Okay. I was raised to open doors. I was raised to stand when a woman comes to the table, to stand when she leaves the table. There are certain things that I was raised to do. So when I hear other people complain or talk about, he doesn't do it, or I want to do it, or men don't do it, I just, okay, that's your experience, but you haven't experienced me. So that's just the way that goes.
All right. This is our Jason right here talking with us today about healthy and unhealthy relationships. We will be back in a moment to continue the discussion.